What if I told you there's a type of man who terrifies the powerful elite more than any protest or revolution? A man who operates in shadows, builds empires in silence, and refuses to play by their rules. That man is the Sigma male, and the establishment is terrified of him. While the world obsesses over alphas climbing corporate ladders and betas following orders, Sigma men are doing something far more dangerous, thriving outside the system entirely. They don't need validation, can't be controlled, and refuse to bow to social hierarchies the elite carefully constructed. Today, we're exposing why the most powerful people lose sleep over the rise of Sigma males. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is cold reality. The elite built an empire on predictability, control, and conformity. And Sigma men, they're the ultimate wild card. If you're a Sigma male, you already know what I'm talking about. You've felt the pushback when you refuse to conform. You've seen the confusion when you chose independence over acceptance. And if you're discovering your Sigma traits now, buckle up, because what you're about to learn will change how you see the world forever. Before we dive deep, hit that subscribe button. This channel is your fortress of Sigma wisdom in a world designed to make you just another cog in the machine. We're building a community of independent thinkers, and your subscription helps us reach more men who refuse to be controlled. 1. The independent threat. Here's what keeps the elite awake at night: a man who doesn't need their approval, money, or system to thrive. The Sigma male represents the most dangerous threat to established power because he's proven independence isn't just possible. It's profitable, fulfilling, and completely sustainable. The entire infrastructure of modern society is built on dependency. You depend on corporations for employment, banks for credit, social networks for validation, institutions for credentials. The elite constructed a world where every path to success supposedly runs through gates they control. Then, the Sigma male builds a ladder right over their wall. When you operate independently, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is the elite's worst nightmare. They've spent billions on data analytics and behavioral prediction. They can tell you what the average alpha will do for status, what the beta will do for security. But the Sigma, he's the variable that breaks their algorithms. Consider the traditional career path: graduate with debt, climb corporate ladder 30 years, retire at 65. This path is predictable, controllable, and keeps you dependent every single day. You need their job, their approval, their promotions. Now enter the Sigma male who decides at 25 to learn high-income skills online, build multiple revenue streams, create location-independent income. He's not asking permission. He's not waiting for promotion. He's building his own economy and suddenly doesn't need their system. This is strategic independence, and it's revolutionary. The elite understand. The moment you don't need them is the moment you become dangerous. Not because you'll attack, but because you'll inspire others. One Sigma male living proof. The system is optional, is worth 1,000 revolutionary speeches. You're not telling people to rebel. You're showing them there's nothing to rebel against because you've already walked away. Think about their response. They mock entrepreneurship as risky, push narratives about stable jobs, while corporations lay off thousands, shame men who prioritize freedom over corner offices, label independence as selfish or unrealistic. Why? Because your independence exposes their lie that you need them to survive. Example from tech. While traditional media paid millions to gatekeepers, individual creators built audiences of millions on platforms, generating income surpassing traditional salaries. The establishment called it a fad, said it wasn't real work, claimed it wasn't sustainable. Meanwhile, Sigma males quietly built media empires from laptops, proving you don't need corporations, elite degrees, or permission to create value and capture wealth. The independent Sigma male threatens control in subtle ways. You're not influenced by advertising because you're not seeking status through consumption. You're not swayed by propaganda because you're thinking critically. You're not voting based on their narratives because you're analyzing through your own logic. You've become immune to primary tools of control. Here's what really terrifies them. You're content. The entire consumer economy depends on manufactured discontent. They need you feeling inadequate, so you'll buy their solutions. But the Sigma discovered something they desperately hide. Real fulfillment comes from internal validation, meaningful work, and authentic relationships, none requiring their products, approval, or system. This is why they can't tolerate independent men thriving. Every successful Sigma male is a crack in their foundation. You're proof their pyramid scheme of dependency is optional. Your evidence men don't need to sacrifice freedom, time, and authenticity to live well. You're walking, breathing example that independence isn't just survival. It's thriving. The elite built empires on the assumption humans are fundamentally dependent creatures who'll trade freedom for security, authenticity for acceptance, independence for belonging. The Sigma male calls that bluff and wins, and that's precisely why you're their biggest threat. 2. They can't be bought. Let me tell you about the elite's favorite weapon, money. They've mastered buying loyalty, silence, and obedience. Most men dance like puppets with the right salary or bonus, but then they encounter the Sigma male, and their most powerful weapon becomes worthless. Here's the truth. The Sigma male has separated his identity from his bank account. He's driven by purpose, autonomy, and principles. You cannot buy a man who values freedom more than money. The system works like this. A talented individual threatens established interests. The elite offer a high-paying job or lucrative contract. Most people take it and sell their voice, independence, and integrity. They've been neutralized. The Sigma male sees this as a golden cage. He'd rather build his own modest shelter than live in someone else's palace. Consider the journalist who uncovers corporate corruption. The response? Offer him a consulting position or threaten his career. Most fold. But the Sigma journalist? He's built multiple income streams and prepared for backlash. You can't buy him because he's not for sale. This extends beyond direct bribery. The elite create ecosystems where speaking truth costs opportunities, where independence means sacrificing access, where refusing their game means isolation. These invisible pressures keep most people in line, but the Sigma male architected his life to be immune. He's diversified income so no single source controls him. He's built skills valuable across multiple markets. He's comfortable with less if less means more freedom. Here's what's threatening. The Sigma's resistance isn't based on endless wealth. He's redefined what wealth means. Time freedom is wealth. Autonomy is wealth. Living by principles is wealth. Once you make that shift, their billions become less impressive. Startup founders refuse acquisition offers worth hundreds of millions because accepting means losing control. The press calls them crazy. But the Sigma founder understands. Selling out isn't worth any price if it means becoming an employee in your own creation. The elite use luxury and status symbols as control. Your worth is measured by your car, watch, zip code. Men spend lives chasing these symbols, keeping them dependent and controllable. The Sigma male opts out entirely. Every Sigma male choosing freedom over a paycheck, walking away from compromising opportunities, building modest but independent wealth, each one proves their economic control is illusion. You're showing the golden handcuffs are optional. The elite's power relies on simple transaction. They provide money and status, you provide compliance. The Sigma male refuses to sign. You can't be bought because you've bought something more valuable, your freedom, and that makes you ungovernable. 3. Challenging the status quo. The elite spent generations building hierarchies and structures serving their interests. These systems are engineered to keep power concentrated at the top. Then the Sigma male commits the ultimate sin. He questions everything. not with protests, but with something more dangerous. He refuses to accept their reality. The power structure relies on collective agreement that certain rules are unchangeable. You need their degree, their credentials, their approval. These aren't truths. They're agreed-upon fictions, keeping the game rigged. The Sigma male doesn't just say, "The emperor has no clothes." He lives it. And living proof is more powerful than any argument. Consider education. The elite convince society you need expensive degrees to have value. This keeps people in debt and compliant until a Sigma male learns skills online for free, builds a portfolio, and out-earns degree holders by 25. Their narrative crumbles. The Sigma's challenge is practical, not ideological. He's not arguing if the system is fair. He's demonstrating it's optional. Arguments can be dismissed, but results speak universally. The elite hate this because it exposes arbitrary power. They've wrapped control in language of necessity. This is how things work. But the Sigma male proves otherwise, and each success erodes their authority. Corporate world example. Success means climbing their ladder, playing politics, sacrificing autonomy. Then a Sigma male starts a business, scales to 6 figures, works anywhere, answers to no one. He's not proving a point, just living his design. But his existence proves their ladder is optional. This is passive revolution. The Sigma doesn't tear down institutions. He builds alternatives that work better. He doesn't convince people the old way is wrong. He shows them a better way. Media landscape. The elite controlled information through networks for decades, until independent creators with laptops built audiences dwarfing traditional outlets. The Sigma didn't ask permission. He just started speaking. The market decided his value. The elite tried dismissing this, but they couldn't dismiss results. Independent creators broke stories faster, analyzed more honestly, built more engagement than billion-dollar empires. What's threatening? It's replicable. When one Sigma proves a path works, he creates a roadmap. The elite can suppress one individual, not a proven methodology. Every Sigma success becomes a blueprint undermining their narrative. The status quo includes hierarchies based on credentials and connections. Your Harvard degree supposedly makes you more valuable. But the Sigma male ignores these arbitrary hierarchies and succeeds anyway, proving they're just social control. The deepest threat, the Sigma embodies an alternative vision of success, not their definition, status and institutional power, but success as freedom, autonomy and fulfillment. When others see this vision work, they question if the elite's definition is worth pursuing. The elite built empires controlling definitions, what success means, what's possible. The Sigma male's life is a competing definition that works, and competing definitions end any monopoly on truth. 4. Immunity to social engineering. The elite have perfected the science of social engineering over centuries. They know exactly which psychological buttons to push to make people predictable and controllable. Fear, greed, envy, insecurity, the desperate need for approval. These are the levers they pull to orchestrate mass behavior. But then they encounter the Sigma male, and suddenly every lever does absolutely nothing. This is perhaps their most frustrating problem. You can't manipulate someone who's already done the internal work to become unmanipulatable. Social engineering works by exploiting the gap between who you are and who you want to be seen as. The elite create images of success, beauty, and status, then sell you products and behaviors as bridges to reach those images. This works brilliantly on people who derive their identity from external validation. But the Sigma male? He's already solved the identity equation internally. He knows who he is, what he values, and where he's going, and none of it requires your opinion. Consider advertising, which is essentially weaponized psychology. The elite spend billions studying how to make you feel inadequate, so you'll buy their solution. They create associations between their products and social acceptance, sexual attraction, or professional success. But watch what happens when they try this on a Sigma male. He sees the luxury car commercial and thinks, I need reliable transportation, not to impress anyone. He sees the fashion campaign and thinks, I'll dress for function, not for strangers' approval. The entire manipulation apparatus bounces off him because he's not psychologically vulnerable to their tactics. This immunity extends beyond advertising. The elite use social engineering to control political opinions, shape cultural values and direct mass behavior. They've mastered creating narratives that most people absorb without question. The Sigma male approaches all of this with radical skepticism. He questions narratives, examines evidence, considers incentives, and thinks independently. This makes him extraordinarily difficult to propagandize because he's not looking for comfortable lies, he's looking for uncomfortable truths. Take the political realm. The elite have engineered a system where people identify strongly with political tribes, then manipulate those tribal loyalties. They don't need to convince you they're right, they just need to convince you the other tribe is dangerous. The Sigma male sees through this completely. He's not loyal to any political tribe because he recognizes tribalism itself as the manipulation tool. He evaluates policies based on principles, not party affiliation. The elite have no handle to grab because he's not playing their game. Social engineering also relies heavily on conformity pressure. The elite weaponize the human need to fit in by creating social consequences for non-conformity. Question the narrative? You're a conspiracy theorist. Choose an unconventional path. You're irresponsible. These social punishments keep most people in line, but the Sigma male has already made peace with being misunderstood. He's comfortable operating outside social approval. You can't shame someone who doesn't need your approval. You can't ostracize someone who's already chosen to stand apart. The elite also engineer scarcity mindsets to keep people desperate and competitive. This manufactured scarcity keeps people in survival mode, making them easier to control. The Sigma male operates from abundance thinking. He recognizes that value creation opportunities are essentially unlimited. He's not competing for scraps. He's building his own table. This mindset shift makes him immune to scarcity-based manipulation. Consider social media. The elite have engineered these platforms to be maximum manipulation machines, gamifying validation through likes and shares. Most users are completely captured, constantly checking for validation. The Sigma male uses social media strategically or not at all. He doesn't need the dopamine hits because he's not using external metrics to measure his worth. He's in the system, but not of the system, using the tools without being used by them. What terrifies the elite about this immunity is that it's learnable. The Sigma male isn't born unmanipulatable, he becomes that way through conscious effort and psychological development, which means every Sigma male who demonstrates this immunity is proof that others could develop it too. The elite have built their power on the predictability of human psychology. They've refined social engineering tactics to the point where it's a precise science. But the Sigma male is the variable that breaks their models. You can't engineer the behavior of someone who's already engineered himself to be ungovernable. 5. Building outside the system. Here's what keeps the elite up at night. The Sigma male isn't just opting out of their system. He's building competing systems that work better. This isn't rebellion, this is creation. And creation is the ultimate revolution. The elite maintain control through monopoly. They convince you there are no alternatives, no other way to make money, no other path to success. Once they've established that psychological monopoly, they've won. Then the Sigma male starts building, and suddenly their monopoly has competition. When you build outside the system, you're creating proof of concept. Every independent business is evidence you don't need their corporations. Every alternative education path proves you don't need their institutions. You're not arguing. You're constructing alternatives in real time. Consider cryptocurrency networks and decentralized finance. The elite dismissed it as fantasy, but it worked. People could store value and make transactions without any bank's permission. Sigma builders weren't reforming the system, they were making it optional. This pattern repeats everywhere. Online learning platforms deliver better results than universities at a fraction of the cost. Independent media bypasses traditional gatekeepers entirely. Freelancing platforms let people escape traditional employment. Each alternative shifts power from institutions to individuals. Here's what's crucial. When Sigma males build outside the system, they're building infrastructure others can use. That platform you created, now thousands can escape. That course you made, now others learn without debt. You're not just escaping the cage, you're leaving the door open. The creator economy is perfect proof. For decades, the elite controlled audience access through publishers and networks. You needed permission. Then Sigma males built YouTube, podcasting, and direct platforms. No permission needed, no gatekeepers. This hasn't just disrupted the old model, it's made it irrelevant. What makes Sigma builders especially dangerous is they're motivated by building something better, not destroying the old. Revolutionaries can be painted as radicals, but builders, they're just solving problems. It's harder to demonize someone making things better. Here's the deepest threat. Every system built outside elite control proves their framework is arbitrary. They've convinced people their institutions are necessary and irreplaceable. The Sigma builder proves otherwise with working alternatives that deliver better results. The elite built their empire on monopolies. The Sigma male systematically breaks each one. Once people realize the monopolies were always optional, the game is over. You can't maintain power based on necessity when alternatives prove you were never necessary. 6. The power of silent influence. The elite control loud influence. Platforms, positions, headlines. But there's influence they cannot control. The silent influence of the Sigma male. Influence without performance, power without announcement. And it's terrifying to those who built empires on controlling narratives. The elite track trends, followers, spreading ideas. They amplify or suppress voices, but this depends on influence being visible. The Sigma male operates below radar. His influence spreads through private conversations, personal example, mentorship. No post to delete. No platform to deplatform. By the time elite notice, it's embedded in minds with nothing they can do. Real transformation happens through networks they can't see. A Sigma male lives compelling. Friends notice he's happier, freer. They ask questions. He shares. Seeds planted. Friends apply principles, get results, influence their circles. No hashtags, just authentic influence through genuine connection. Underground revolution. Coffee shops, gym conversations, private messages. Elite can't monitor, counter, or stop it. By the time they realize, an entire generation changed values. Silent influence comes from authenticity. Elite influence is obvious manipulation. But when a Sigma shares genuine experience that bypasses filters, it's truth between humans. When a young man sees his uncle or neighbor living as Sigma male, independent, fulfilled, free, that becomes his template. That personal role model is infinitely more influential than manufactured celebrity. Silent influence is durable. Elite can destroy public reputation overnight, but they can't cancel private influence, can't undo seeds planted. That influence is permanent because it's based on direct experience. Mentorship example. Elite institutions teach their version of success, but Sigma Mentor shows different path. This one-on-one transfer rewrites programming, no institution to attack, just private knowledge creating another person operating outside elite paradigm. When you influence through mentorship, you create independent thinkers. Each influences their circle. Geometric growth invisible until critical mass. Once someone's influenced by Sigma principles, independence, critical thinking, self-reliance, they resist elite manipulation. They've seen alternatives work. Can't reverse with propaganda because influence came from lived experience. Sigma Father raises children with different values, question authority, think independently, build own path. Children grow immune to conditioning. One father influences entire lineage, multiply across thousands, a generation fundamentally ungovernable. Elite assumed influence requires platforms they control. Sigma male proved most powerful influence needs no platform, just authenticity, results, genuine connection, and those can never be monopolized. 7. Why fear reveals weakness. The elite's fear of Sigma males isn't about you, it's about them. Their fear reveals their power was never absolute. Their control was always fragile. Their empire was built convincing people it was inevitable when it was optional. Fear is confession. Their fear confesses everything they built depends on your compliance. First, their fear exposes power is granted, not inherent. They have power because people accept authority, participate in systems, believe narratives. Sigma male withdraws all three. Power evaporates. If power were absolute, your defection wouldn't threaten. That it does proves it was built on sand. Second, fear reveals fragility. True strength doesn't fear independence. Robust systems welcome competition. But elite system requires universal participation. Its pyramid scheme collapsing when people stop joining. Their fear is others noticing the exit door you're walking through. If their way was best, they wouldn't suppress alternatives, wouldn't shame independent thinkers. Best product sells itself. Desperate effort to maintain monopoly proves product is inferior. Third, fear exposes desperation for control. Control isn't confidence, it's opposite. Secure people don't obsess over controlling others. Elite's frantic attempts to monitor and regulate reveals terror of losing grip. Every Sigma thriving outside proves grip was always weak. Watch responses to independent thinking, more censorship, more deplatforming, more regulation, more propaganda. These aren't confident power, these are death throes of obsolete system. Fourth, fear reveals they always knew system is unjust. People believing in righteous causes don't fear scrutiny. Elite avoid examination because they know analysis reveals power built on exploitation. Sigma male living by principles becomes mirror reflecting their corruption. Most important, their fear proves change is possible. If system were immutable, they wouldn't fear individuals opting out. Fear recognizes empire is one choice from irrelevance. Every person choosing independence proves power is optional. Optional power is no power. Elite built image of inevitability. Want you believing system is gravity, natural law. But fear reveals truth. Not gravity, just gravity they want you believing. Moment you stop believing, you start floating. They're terrified you discovering you could fly all along. Fear reveals time is running out. Every year, technology makes independence accessible. More discover alternatives. Monopolies weaken. They see trajectory doesn't end with them in control. Sigma male is early adopter of future, where their power is obsolete. Finally, fear reveals your power. Wouldn't be afraid if you weren't dangerous. Wouldn't spend resources if you weren't effective. Fear is involuntary acknowledgement that you choosing to live differently represent existential threat to everything they built. You don't need to fight them. Just keep being ungovernable. Keep living proof. Alternatives work. Keep inspiring through example. Your existence outside their control is revolution. Their fear proves it's working. Elite bet most would never question, never opt out, never discover own power. Sigma male called their bluff. Fear in their eyes is tell revealing they were always bluffing. Power was illusion, depending on you believing it was real. Fear exposed weakness. Desperation revealed fragility. Control attempts proved insecurity. You're not fighting all-powerful system. You're walking away from Congame. Every step toward independence is step toward their irrelevance. Stay Sigma. Stay free. Let their fear remind you daily you're winning. So, there you have it. 7 undeniable reasons why the elite fear Sigma men. We've exposed the truth they don't want you to know. That your independence is your greatest weapon, that your refusal to conform is actually your superpower, and that their entire system relies on you playing a game you were never meant to win. The Sigma male doesn't threaten the elite with violence or chaos. He threatens them with something far more powerful, proof that their system is optional. Every Sigma man who builds wealth outside their corporations, who finds fulfillment outside their social constructs, who lives authentically without their approval, each one is a walking billboard that screams, "You don't need them." And that's exactly why they fear you. Remember this, when the system pushes back against you, when society tells you you're wrong for wanting to walk alone, when people can't understand why you don't crave their approval, that's not a sign you're failing. That's confirmation you're doing exactly what threatens their control. The elite have spent centuries perfecting systems of control. They've mastered the art of making people believe they're free while keeping them in invisible chains. But they never accounted for men who would simply refuse to wear the chains in the first place. Stay independent, stay unpredictable, stay dangerous to those who profit from your conformity. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to this channel right now. We're not here to give you comfortable lies or tell you what you want to hear. We're here to arm you with the truth about what it means to be a Sigma male in a world that wants you docile and dependent. Your subscription isn't just support, it's a declaration that you refuse to be controlled. Drop a comment below telling us which of these 7 reasons resonated most with you. Are you already living outside the system, or are you just beginning your Sigma journey? Let's build this community of independent thinkers together. Until next time, stay Sigma, stay free.